Good morning and welcome back to Dr. Logic Awkwardly Does Logic. I've got two theorems for you today, which illustrate the proof technique that we've been talking about, where you take a theorem or a rule you've already proven and then do contraposition, modal interchange, double negation, De Morgan's, and come up with something which is essentially the dual of the theorem that we started with. So let me bring up the whiteboard. Remember that we have Theorem K3, which is that if you have a necessary conjunction, you can distribute the necessity over the conjunction. So necessary P and Q implies necessary P and necessary Q. What we're going to prove now is essentially the diamond disjunct analog of this, that if you can, so this is going to end up being Theorem K6, if you have a possible disjunction, then this is only the case when one of the disjunctions is possible. So we start off from K3. This is because we are essentially doing the swap boxes for diamonds and conjunctions for disjunctions to get from K3 to K6. It makes sense that that is where we will start. However, I'm not going to start with K3 directly. I'm going to take a substitution instance of it, because how do you get between conjunctions and disjunctions and necessities and possibilities? Via negation. So the substitution instance I'm going to take is substituting not P for P and not Q for Q. And wait a minute, sorry. K3 is the one that says you can go both directions. K6 is also going to be a biconditional. So I've got that if it's necessary that not P and not Q, then we have necessary not P and necessary not Q. And this is uniform substitution on K3, where we have not P substituted in for P and not Q substituted in for Q. Now, propositional logic allows us to go from the fact that we have the biconditional being true, so positive things on both sides, to knowing that it then also has to be the case the biconditional holds between their negations. So if these things always have to have the same truth value, then if they are both true at the same time, they also have to then be both false at the same time. So that's just applying some propositional reasoning to line 1. And now we are in a position where we can start doing De Morgan's. So not here, because we've got our negation is next to the box. So this one is just going to stay the same. But over here, I can say, well, this is going to be the same as not box, not P, or not box, not Q. And now you can already see how this is going to go. On this side, what I want to do is modal interchange. So get from not necessarily to possibly not. So then we've got what's in the parentheses stays the same. But I can also do modal interchange over here, because what I've got are some, I've got some box knots, which can become not diamonds. So we've got not, possibly P, or not, possibly Q. So that's just applying modal interchange to both sides. So that's on line 3. Now, another instance of De Morgan over here gets us possibly not P or not Q. And we'll just take that one down as it is. So De Morgan's on line 4. And then finally, it's just a matter of a bunch of removals of double negations. So here we've got possibly P or Q, if and only if possibly P or possibly Q, double negation on line 5. So there you go. You can see how this strategy works. It was because we substituted in not P for P that all of a sudden we had the negations that we needed. Another way you can get these negations is through contraposition, but sometimes that they can be kind of too far out in the scope of the formula. So if you want to have them kind of right at the level of being able to do propositional equivalences, put the negations on your atoms. That's often a very useful substitution instance to take. Now, given that we've got this already, I'm going to actually go on. So this here is going to be our K6, but directly from K6, we can prove something else. So I will just go straight into that, and then I'll show you what it is that we're trying to prove. I'm going to take a substitution instance of K6 where I just change not P for P. So we've got possibly not P or possibly Q. So uniform substitution, line 6, not P for P. And now there are going to be other relevant interchanges. First, let's see, we'll keep this side the same, but I'm going to use modal interchange over here so that we end up with, oops, that's an extra negation. I don't want that one. So that we end up with two disjunctions where one of the disjuncts is negated. So here I've just done modal interchange to go from possibly not to not necessarily. Now, why might I want to do that? Well, every disjunction that has a negated disjunct can be converted into a simple conditional. So what we have here is a really interesting equivalence between, if it's possible that P implies Q, this is the case if and only if necessary P implies possibly Q. So this is just some propositional reasoning, some substitution of the equivalence between not P or Q and P implies Q. And oops, sorry, this should be not necessarily P. Well, the equivalence that's here, you can see it. We've done this equivalence many times before. So this is going to be our 7th theorem. And this one is really, really useful because it's one of the first ones that we have that combines boxes and diamonds in the same formula. So being able to go from something that has a diamond as its main connective to something that whose main connective is a propositional operator, but has both boxes and diamonds, K7 ends up being really, really useful. So when you are taking you're building your list of theorems and you're taking notes and you're keeping track of everything, put a star next to K7 because you're going to use it. Now, there's still more theorems that we can prove, but they all are going to follow these same sorts of patterns. So I'm not going to do them in the videos. If you want to see the next couple of theorems, you can look in the textbook and you should be able to see how the same patterns are being repeated. Now, if I need to appeal to these theorems in later videos, I'm going to. So you can either take my word for it that they actually are provable. You can look in the textbook, or you can try to derive them yourself. And that's actually a really good exercise because it can be very difficult when you're starting doing these proofs to figure out, like, what's the propositional tautology that I start from? How do I go from a theorem I've already proven to something new? How do I understand what the right substitution instance is? This is the most difficult part, but it's something that comes with practice. The more proofs that you do, the more proofs that you look at, the more you'll be able to see the patterns and to be able to look at something and be like, aha, I bet I'm going to go through this route to get to it. So this is something where it really pays to get stuck in and put in the hard work, and eventually you will be able to reap the rewards, or in this case, the theorems. Until then, take care. See you later.